Okay, so appointment setter or remote closer. If you're looking to get in the high ticket sales space, I'm sure you know what these two are. And I'm sure you've heard these big claims about becoming a closer can make you 10, 20, 30K a month. Yeah, it can, guys. I'm not going to say it won't. But what I will say is it's not worth it if you are just starting out in remote sales, or to be honest, even if you do have experience. I'm going to run you through what being a closer actually looks like. Okay, I've nearly gone down the route myself. I'm glad I didn't. I know so many people that have, and I'm telling you from their experience and from what I've seen that it's not as good as it may seem. So I'm going to make this very straight to the point for you guys about why you should not think about becoming a remote closer straight away if you're looking to get in the high ticket sales space, okay? And why you should actually get into becoming a setter instead, okay? And that is coming from my own experience too. Now, for a beginner closer, here's the thing. You're going to spend about 1 to 3 months learning sales, right? And spamming online companies and coaches to try and be a closer for them. Now, do you think these guys are going to hire you for a high ticket deal, right? If you don't have any sales experience, you've got to understand these things, guys. To make 10, 20, 30, 40K a month, whatever, right? Especially like upwards of 10K a month, you have to be on some really high ticket offers. Now, you are responsible for closing those deals because you get like a 10% commission check. Okay. So if you're getting like, I don't know, let's say it's a 10K offer, 20K offer, you're getting 10%, it's like 1K, 2K per close. Fantastic, right? Close a few of them per month, you're making 6 figures a year. Great. Now, you are responsible for getting on these sales calls that the founder, the person you're working with, has worked so hard to get on the calendar for you in terms of like running ads or organic content. They are now trusting you to get on the call and close the deal, right? Do you think they are going to let a beginner closer, right? For example, that bought a sales course and, is learning how to close on the job. He's just going to let them come in and just handle all of those high ticket sales calls, right? Just risk having a beginner not knowing what he's doing. But he bought a course, at least he bought a course, right, on how to do it. He's going to let him just come in and just sacrifice, the potential of closing this deal, just letting some beginner come and hop on. No. For these high ticket deals, they are going to be hiring experts, okay? Going to be hiring people who have experience. Right? And to make 10K plus as a closer, you need to be on high ticket deals. But to get on high ticket deals, you have to have experience. I'm not going to let some beginner do it. So if you're going to be a closer, you're going to start off on lower ticket offers. Okay? Which means you're going to be making like 2, 3, 4, 5K a month. And we'll get into this in a second. But you may as well just become an appointment setter at that rate because they make the same amount of money, don't have to go anywhere near the same amount of stress, right? And can get started basically immediately, right? A beginner closer is going to be on offers, right, where they're going to be making 3, 4, 5K a month, right? Beginner setters can get on offers making 3, 4, 5K a month basically immediately because, there's not as much risk involved or, anything for the company by letting an appointment setter that's quite new to the space hop on and set calls because it's a very easy skill to learn. Whereas closing high ticket isn't an easy skill to learn. It does take months of, back and forth trial and error. Okay. So yeah, you can spend 1 to 3 months learning sales and spamming online companies to try and be a closer for them. Bear in mind this as well. You have no leverage or experience and you're tied down by your current job. You're working a 9 to 5 and you want to become a remote closer. So when you start out as a beginner, you're going to have to start on lower ticket offers anyway because you can't handle high ticket deals, right? Because you're not experienced enough yet. And also you're working a 9 to 5, so you can only work like part time. So now you're a closer working part time on a low ticket deal. Okay, so you're already cutting your commissions in half, right, by having to go on these lower ticket offers. But now you're cutting it in half again because you can only work part time. Closers that make 10K plus are full-time closers on high ticket deals. You are now a beginner closer with no experience, working part-time because you're still in the job. So what makes you think you're going to make 10K doing this? Okay, and with appointment setters, I'm going to get into this in a second, right? These guys can work a job, right, and still do appointment setting alongside it, making an extra 2, 3K a month. And I'm going to show you proof of that at the end of this video, okay? So yeah, that's you, right? Spend 1 to 3 months learning sales, spam online coaches, right? You finally land a role with a terrible ticket price because bear in mind you're a beginner, you don't have the leverage for high ticket deals yet, and commission structure, and then you justify it with, we all start somewhere. At least I've got my foot in the door. Yes, I'm on this offer that is paying me nothing, but yeah, at least we all start somewhere, okay? You took anything you could get your hands on, not understanding the foundations, okay? This is the thing as well. We're starting out with closing. There's so many moving parts to it. You have to understand the foundations of, sales and vetting offers and understand the commission structures and learning how to sell. There's so many moving parts to this, okay? But, you finally land one, right? Working part-time because you're still working your job. You're on an offer that is like a 3K ticket price. You're getting 10% of that, so you're getting £300 per close. On top of all of the stress of trying to manage your job alongside doing the closing full time, and you have to be elite level focused to close these deals. And right, okay, let's move on. All right, You hop offers for the next 6 to 12 months. You finally land one making above 5k a month in commissions. Maybe you did this for a little bit. You got to the point where you were making the same amount of money from closing that you were at your job on this terrible offer. You quit. Then you hop offers for the next 6 to 12 months. You finally land one making 5k a month in commissions, right? So you ate crap to finally hit your first 5k a month, right? But the gurus, they promised you it was easier. They promised you could get to 10k in 3 months. Well, actually, you're about a year in and you finally got into 5k and you realize it was nowhere near as easy as you thought it was going to be, okay? And you had to sacrifice a lot and it just was not what was sold to you, okay? Cool. Then you realize it's a glorified 9 to 5 and you actually have no freedom at all. You are literally just working a 9 to 5 with more stress and a worse boss. I'm telling you, right? Honestly, as a closer, you will still have a boss, right? As an appointment setter, you still kind of have a boss, but with closers, they're more like, they're on you like a hawk. You got hygiene standards and KPIs to hit. Of course, as a setter, you do as well. But for closers, because you guys are directly responsible for the sale, you have sales managers that are on your ass 24/7. And sales managers can be right arseholes, okay? I'm just going to say it. Some sales managers can be really, just people you do not want to work with. Now, yes, that's going to be the same for any industry, any kind of job you have, any boss you have. But like this is going to have more stress and a worse boss because it's if you haven't done sales before, you work just a random 9 to 5 in an office job, I'm telling you now, the bosses in sales are much worse, right? In terms of like being strict and on your ass 24/7 than they are in normal 9 to 5s, okay? So you realize you're literally just making the same amount of money, right? You're basically working like a well-paid 9 to 5 with more stress and a worse boss, okay? And then through blood, sweat and tears, you see it through, right? And you finally make your first 10k and it nearly killed you because to make 10k as well as a closer, right? And to make above that, you have to uproot your life. Like honestly, like you have to completely change your diet so you have elite level focus and you haven't got brain fog, and change your sleep schedule so you wake up with the most energy possible so you can close these deals effectively, and you have to change your whole life around and cut friends out. And honestly, guys, to become a closer making 5 figures per month, multiple 5 figures per month like you've been sold to online, the amount of sacrifice involved, the amount of stress involved isn't worth it, and you may as well just go and start your own company. Because I'm telling guys now, right, honestly, the level of stress these guys go through, right, the level of like sacrifice they have to put in just to make 5 figures a month, you may as well just go and start your own company, okay? So you finally hit 10k, yeah, but what did it cost you, right? It's not everything, guys. And then you start plotting your escape out of this hole you've gotten yourself into, because like every single sales rep, right, these guys always plot their escape, whether they're going to go and start their own company or start their own agency or start something else. They always eventually pivot to something else down the line. They don't do closing for good. It's always to pivot to something else, right? And that isn't always because they're ambitious and they want to kind of do a bit more. A lot of it's because they want to get out of this hole they've built themselves into, right? I promise you guys, you are going to be stuck on calls all day, right? And you've got your KPIs and hygiene standards to hit, right? Where you've got like a really strict sales manager that's really up your ass, making sure that you're hitting them. Otherwise you're going to be kicked off the team. Like this whole like lifestyle freedom that people sell you about remote closing is nowhere near the truth of what they're trying to make it out to be. Okay, I promise you, yes, it's well paid, you can do this, right? And it is a great kind of model to pick. But for a complete beginner to get to the point where you're making 10k a month, it's going to take a very long time. Okay, you can't just jump straight into high ticket closing straight away as a beginner. You have to work your way up. I'll run you through that in a second. But like honestly, guys, this whole remote freedom, travel freedom, lifestyle freedom, all of this stuff, right, guys? You are glued to these calls all day, and you have to be really like to make these big numbers you're thinking of. You can't just rock up and take a sales call in a coffee shop randomly after a hangover. Like you have to be dialed in. You have to be like elite level focus. And honestly, like the amount of sacrifice you have to put in to be as successful with this is just not worth it. Okay, so if you're a beginner in the high ticket sales space, don't become a closer, right? Don't do this straight away. You can, but honestly, to get to the point where like if you're going to be a beginner closer and start working your way up to make like 10k a month plus, for a long time you're going to be here making 3 to 5k to 6k a month, which is going to take you a long time to get to in the first place, because again, you have no leverage, right? And you're working part-time on lower ticket offers. You may as well just become a setter, where basically with this, you can start outreach immediately, right? You don't have to spend months learning how to sell because you don't need any experience. You can literally just start right now. Appointment setting isn't a complex skill and it's really easy to learn. These guys aren't going to be as like, oh, should I hire this setter? Why would I hire a beginner compared to an expert? Here's the thing, guys, with setting, it's like you're not responsible for the sale, you're responsible for getting the call booked in. It's a really easy skill to learn and it's not hard to nurture, right? And people actually, like appointment setters, like with these companies, they retrain appointment setters to how they want them to perform anyway. So whether you're experienced or not, they're always going to retrain you up to their SOP anyway, okay? Here, being a good setter has more to do with who you are and your character rather than your experience, okay? So with this, like, going to trust some random beginner to get on a high ticket, sales call and trust them to close it because they bought some random course, right? Is a lot more risky than if they were to get like a brand new setter who has a lot of heart, a lot of character, and actually shows they're actually going to, like, they have what it takes to learn setting to a good level. Because the closer is responsible for getting the deal closed, right? You're responsible for getting the calls booked in. So they're not really risking a lot by taking you on, okay? And the money you make as a setter in the beginning stages is not that different to a closer who's here making like 4 or 5K a month, right? Who took like 6 to 12 months to get there, okay? So yeah. Then what you're going to do, you're going to send 30 per day, 30 applications or outreaches per day with my strategy, right? Which, by the way, I actually have a video. I'm going to link it in the description running you through my strategy to landing a role within like a couple of weeks. You're going to send 30 per day with my strategy. You're going to watch that video, right? You can land a role within like 3 weeks to a month, depending on how many you send. If you do 30 per day for 1 month straight, that's 900 people per month. All we need is one person to say yes. That's like 0.1% of the people we're contacting, okay? And bear in mind, again, because you don't need an experience and it's not that hard of a skill to learn, and setters get hired much faster, much easier than closers do. Trust me, if you do this for a month with my strategy and you do it the right way, you're going to land a role very quickly, right? Because again, like I said, it's easier to land roles as a setter than it is for a closer because there aren't as many intricacies, okay? Then what's going to happen, like you guys are going to make your first 2K pretty damn quickly as a setter, right? Whether you're paid commission on the close, whether you're paid per appointment or a base salary, you're going to make your first 2K pretty damn quickly, okay? Like you can make money literally alongside working your job as well. You've seen the potential, you made your first 2K, you didn't have to quit your job to do it, you did it alongside your job, you still made your first 2K while the closers had to go through this crap to get there, okay? And then what's going to happen is like you're going to go all in, you're going to quit your job. As you have all this time on your hands, you're going to stack multiple offers, right? You can have like 2 or 3 offers at once, right? And then you're going to hit your first 5K month, right? You now have lots of free time. You can stack more offers and still perform extremely well, right? Like with closing, you kind of have to go all in with one offer, right? You have to close for one offer only, okay? And like you're kind of at the mercy as well of like so many other intricacies, like how the founder that you're working with is actually booking in calls. I know closers have a massive problem with lead flow where like they can't control the leads that are being booked in, right? Unless they're setting them themselves, which is quite uncommon, right? I know they have a problem with like lead flow, and their cash that they make directly correlates to how many calls get booked in on the calendar, and they have no control over that, okay? Whereas you do, as a setter, have a lot more control of how many calls you're getting booked in, okay? And you're being paid per appointment, like 50 per appointment. You can control that, whereas the closer can't. He just sits there and waits for calls to come on his calendar, right? And he's at the mercy of how many calls are being booked in. You could just keep booking in more calls, okay? As long as you have a good, like, reliable way to get in leads, which is, trust me, it's not that hard, right? And actually booking people in is going to be easy, guys, okay? So stack multiple offers, hit your first 5K month. Let's say you're on 2 offers, 3 offers, you hit your first 5K month, right? You can rinse and repeat, or start your own agency, or become a closer if you really want to, because it's going to be much easier now. So you can keep doing this, make 5K a month as a setter, just chill, right? You're sending DMs back and forth. Maybe you're doing cold calling as well. You haven't got as much stress. You haven't got to be somewhere at a certain time, right? As long as you book in the calls and hit the KPIs, it doesn't matter, okay? Whereas closers, they have to be somewhere at a certain time for the call that's on their calendar. You can just work whenever you want to, really, okay? As long as you're getting the work done, right? And you're responding to leads fast enough to get them booked into calls and you're hitting your KPIs, you can travel the world, guys. I've hit my record days when I've been traveling to places like Budapest, right? I've literally been traveling all day and I've hit my record days from the work that I put in the morning beforehand, right? Like, trust me, like the money you make as a setter compared to being like a decent level closer is not that much different and takes nowhere near as much time or as much stress, right? And with here, you come out at the end of it hating yourself, right? Because you've just built this massive hole that you've got yourself into. You start plotting your escape. Whereas with this, you won't ever start thinking, I hate this, or let me get out of this hole. You'll be thinking, right, I've got this really good skill now. Should I go and start an agency or should I become a closer? Let's try and make it into more money. Because becoming an appointment setter, you can get to like 10K a month. It's quite hard though. It's more like 5K to 7K like tops. You can do 10K. I've done it with setting, right? It is quite hard to do. You have to have kind of a bit more experience. But to get to your first 5K month, it is pretty easy. Well, not easy, but like it's simple to do, simple to understand. Okay, it's not going to take as much moving parts. And you can do that a lot faster than you can with becoming a closer because there's not as many, intricacies, like I said. Okay. So if you want to become a closer now, if you did want to go into become a closer, you can go and become a high ticket closer basically immediately because you have this background of really good setting experience. Whereas a beginner who has just started, has no experience or anything, goes straight into becoming a closer. He is tied down by this job. So he has to work part time anyway. And he's on lower ticket offers because he can't go on high ticket deals yet because he's not experienced, right? If he had just done the setter route, he would have made more money, right? Doing it that way and gotten to the high ticket closer level faster, making more money and hating himself less. So guys, if you're thinking of starting out in the high ticket sales space, be very careful of these, become a closer courses, because I'm telling you now, it's not feasible for complete beginners. It is a good model. You can make a lot of money, but I'm telling you now, just be very, very cautious of this. If you want to start the whole high ticket sales journey and you want to become a closer eventually, become a setter first because you can get paid within like the first 1 to 2 months. Whereas with this, it takes like twice, maybe triple as long. Okay. So just be very, very careful. And also this is much more work to get to like 5K. Like hitting 5K a month with closing is much harder than it is with setting. Okay. And it requires a lot more of your energy and a lot more stress. Okay. And with this, with setting as well, you're a lot more decentralized. You may have a sales manager, you may have people to report to. As long as you're good and you're performing, they kind of do leave you alone, guys. Like it's really decentralized compared to being a closer where they're on you, like honestly, like a rat up a drain pipe. They're honestly they're really on you 24/7 with being a closer, whereas being a setter is nowhere near as much. Okay. Now, let me show you how my life has changed from an appointment setting. Okay. So on the 26th of October, 2023, I had £19.32 in my account. I think I'd just been doing setting for like a week or 2 weeks at this point. Okay. My first ever payday was £791. Okay. All right. Might not sound like a lot, but in the space of 2 weeks, I'd made an extra 800 quid, right? On top of my job. I had an extra £800 come in, right? And then 1 month later, after that, I hit my first 2K, right? So literally in the space of like a month and a half, right? I went from having £19.32 in my account, making £1,000 a month at this retail job, to hitting 2K a month from my phone and having my retail job wage on top of that. So I was hitting 3K a month at 19, right? £19.32, 26th of October. 5th of December, like a month and a half later, hit my first 2K plus my job wage on top of that. And then I decided, let's go all in, right? And quit my job. I quit my job. I had it in my notice on I think it was 1st of December. My last shift was the 30th of December, 2023, right? I quit my job after that. So in the space of a month and a half of finding appointment setting, bear in mind, no one showed me what to do. I didn't have any kind of YouTube channel showing me how to do this kind of stuff. Nobody told me what to do. I figured it out all myself. Within a month and a half, I quit my job. I'm telling you right now, guys, doing that with closing, getting to the point where you're making that much money and being able to quit your job is nowhere near as quick. I'm telling you now, there's too many moving parts. With this, you can start immediately, land a roll within a couple of weeks and make your first 2K pretty damn quick. And you've just seen it there. Within a month and a half, I hit my first 2K and that's in pounds as well. So that's like 2.6K dollars. Okay. Then I quit my job. And then when I went all in, I started hitting 5K. I hit a couple of 10Ks with setting, right? And this is how my life looked. Okay. So I've gone to Dubai. That's me in London. That's me in London again. That's me in Dubai with a good friend of mine and a client, William Brown, who's a multi-millionaire, right? That's me in Dubai again. Dubai, Spain. Got a lot of Dubai here. Quite like Dubai if you couldn't tell. London, Spain again. Like this is just my life. I've just completely changed it. I don't work a job anymore, right? I answer to myself. I make really good money from my phone, travel whenever I want to. I don't have closing calls or sales calls on my calendar that I have to be there at a certain time for. I can travel whenever I want to and make the same amount of money as a closer. Okay. And the closers that are making 10, 20, 30K a month, they don't have this level of freedom. They are stuck to their desk all day, making the good money. Yeah, right, cool. But they're stuck to their desk all day. They can't do this stuff. Would you rather make 5, 6K a month and live this really good life and be able to travel whenever you want to and have all this freedom, or make 10, 15K a month, right? And just be completely trapped, because that's what you will be if you're a closer doing these big numbers. You will be trapped. You won't have this freedom. You won't be able to travel, right? It's really hard to do. Whereas a setter making like 5, 6, 7K a month, this is what your life will look like, which is why you got into this whole space in the first place, right? Awesome. So if you guys want to learn a little bit more about how to get into appointment setting specifically, and I've sold you on the idea of getting to setting rather than closing, I've been doing this for 2 years. I've worked with people like Charlie Morgan, William Brown. I've made multiple 6 figures in cash, right, in commissions. I've generated over $1.7 million in cash for my clients, and I'm very good at helping people replicate the same journey as me that are looking to get into settings. So if you want to learn a little bit more about how to do that, right, get into the realm, right, become a high ticket AI proof appointment setter that lands high ticket roles consistently, there's going to be a link down below in the description, right? Full transparency, that link is designed to get you to book in a call so that I can sell you something. So if you don't want to be sold to, then don't click it. But if you're serious about making this work and you want the actual right pathway to making really good money with high ticket sales in the remote space immediately and not make these mistakes that most people make, then click on that link, book in a call, and I'll run you through exactly how I can help.